In the previous lesson, you have learned that substances are made up of atoms, molecules, or ions. Click on the pictures of the substances shown to find out what they are made of. Copper is made up of atoms. Water is made up of molecules. Table salt or sodium chloride is made up of ions. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to compare and contrast substances that are made of atoms, molecules, and ions based on their physical properties. Relate the physical properties of substances made up of atoms, molecules, and ions to the arrangement of particles and the forces of attraction between them. Substances that are made of atoms, molecules, and ions differ in their physical properties. How are they different, and what is the cause of these differences? To answer this question, let us first look at the physical properties of substances that are made up of atoms, molecules, and ions. Click on the highlighted word to get a detailed explanation. Aluminum is a silvery, durable, and lightweight metal. It is an atom. Its atomic number is 13. Aluminum is found primarily as bauxite and is remarkable for its resistance to oxidation. Hard. Aluminum is solid in room temperature. The particles are arranged in a closely packed manner. These particles vibrate about its fixed position. Metals are held together by strong metallic bonds. Aluminum is made up of atoms that have a high melting and boiling point. This is because the atoms are closely packed. Due to the strong forces of attraction that exist between the particles, a large amount of heat energy is required to overcome the strong metallic bonds. The presence of mobile electrons within the metal lattice allows for electrical conductivity. Electrons flow in at one end and the same number flow out the other end. Insoluble in water and non-aqueous solution. We have just learned about the physical properties of substances made up of atoms. Let us now learn about the physical properties of substances made up of molecules. Click on the highlighted word to get a detailed explanation. Chlorine is a molecular substance. Chlorine gas is greenish-yellow and has a suffocating odor. It is poisonous. In liquid and solid form, it is a powerful oxidizing, bleaching, and disinfecting agent. Soft. Molecular substances exist as solids, liquids, or gases at room temperature. For example, Molecular substances exist as solids, liquids, or gases at room temperature. For example, chlorine exists as gas, water exists as liquid, and sugar as solid at room temperature. Atoms in the molecules are held together by covalent bonds. Molecules are held together by weak van der Waals forces. Substances that are made up of molecules have low melting and boiling point. This is due to the weak forces of attraction that exist between these molecules. Less heat energy is required to overcome the weak forces. Some substances, when heated, will change directly from solid to gaseous state. This process is called sublimation. Example: iodine crystals change to gas. Some molecules, such as chlorine, are soluble in water. Chlorine cannot conduct electricity. Some molecules, such as chlorine, are soluble in water. There are molecules, such as ethanol, soluble in organic solvents as well. Finally, let us look at the properties of substances made up of ions. Click on the highlighted word to get a detailed explanation. Sodium chloride is common table salt. Sodium ions, metal, are positively charged. The chloride ions, non-metal, are negatively charged. Hard. Ionic substances exist as solid at room temperature. Substances that are made up of ions are held together by strong ionic bonds that consist of two oppositely charged ions. Ionic bonds are formed between metals and non-metals. Substances that are made up of ions have a high melting and boiling point. This is due to the strong forces of attraction that exist between oppositely charged ions. A large amount of heat energy is required to overcome the strong ionic bond that links these oppositely charged ions. Ionic compounds in the solid state do not conduct electricity because there are no mobile electrons. In the molten and aqueous state, mobile electrons are present, thus allowing for electrical conductivity. Ionic substances are soluble in water but are insoluble in organic solvents. Let us now summarize the physical properties of substances made up of atoms, molecules, and ions. Click on the table to see the summary and to compare and contrast substances made of atoms, molecules, and ions based on their physical properties.
Let us investigate the heat conductivity of substances made up of atoms, molecules, and ions. By using the spatula, drag and drop the lead powder into the crucible. Click at the Bunsen burner to heat the lead powder for a few minutes. Observe what happens. Let us investigate the electrical conductivity of substances made up of atoms, molecules, and ions. By using the spatula, drag and drop the lead powder into the crucible. Then click at the switch to turn it on. Observe what happens. Now click at the Bunsen burner to heat the lead powder until it melts. Then click at the switch to turn it on. Observe what happens. By using the spatula, drag and drop the sulfur into the crucible. Turn on the switch and observe what happens. Now click at the Bunsen burner to heat up the sulfur powder until it melts. Then click at the switch to turn it on. Observe what happens. Repeat the same procedure with the lead-2 bromide powder. Observe what happens. Record your findings by writing in Table 2. Click the Check button to check your answer. Conclusion. Substances made of atoms can conduct electricity both in solid or molten state. Substances made of molecules cannot conduct solid or molten state. Substances made of ions cannot conduct electricity in solid form but can conduct electricity in molten state. Complete the table to show the properties of substances made of atoms, molecules, and ions. Which of the following consists of ions? A. Water. B. Copper metal. C. Carbon dioxide. D. Copper tube sulfate.
Your answer is correct.
Which of the following are properties of aluminum? 1. It has a high boiling point. 2. It melts easily when heated. 3. It is a poor conductor of heat. 4. It is a solid at room temperature.
Your answer is correct.
Statement in the box shows the property of substance X. Which of the following is most probably X? A. Lead. B. Molten lead. C. Lead powder. D. Lead 2 bromide.
Your answer is correct.
Metal can conduct electricity. Why? A. Metal consists of positive and negative ions. B. The atoms in a metal are held by strong bonds. C. Metal has free electrons moving around its lattice. D. The atoms in a metal are packed closely together.
That's not right. Please try again. Your answer is correct.
Table 1 shows some physical properties of elements P, Q, and R. Based on the information in Table 1, identify elements P, Q, and R.
Your answer is correct.
Table 1 shows the physical properties of 4 substances, P, Q, R, and S. A. Which of the substances consist of 1. Ions, 2. Atoms, 3. Molecules. B. Which of the substances is most likely a metal? Why? C. Explain why R can only conduct electricity in liquid or molten state.
In this lesson, we learned that substances can be classified into atomic, molecular, and ionic substances, atomic substances, high melting and boiling point. Atoms are held together by strong metallic bonds. Conduct electricity in solid, liquid, or molten state. Insoluble in water and non-aqueous solution. Molecular substances. Low melting and boiling point. Atoms and molecules are held by covalent bond. Molecules are held together by weak van der Waals forces. Cannot conduct electricity either in solid or liquid state. Insoluble in water but soluble in non-aqueous solution. Ionic substances. High melting and boiling point. Ions are attracted together by strong ionic bonds. Conduct electricity in aqueous or molten state but not in solid state. Soluble in water but insoluble in non-aqueous solution.
Observe the periodic table of elements. The elements colored blue are the semi-metals. What are semimetals, and can you list some of their common properties? A semimetal or metalloid is an element with properties intermediate between those of metals and non-metals. Ionization energies between those of metals and non-metals. Possess some characteristics of metals, some of non-metals. Reactivity depends on properties of other elements in reaction. Often makes good semiconductors. 2. One example of a semimetal is silicon. What is the special property of silicon that makes it useful in the electronics industry? Silicon in the form of silicon dioxide has a high melting temperature, chemical stability, and piezoelectric properties. Piezoelectric property is the capability to convert mechanical energy to electrical energy and vice versa.